So this is my plant control deck. That's a rule 4 link format. I essentially call it link control, but it's a lot of plants in the deck. So of course we have I explained the main strategy of the deck, and then I go on to the rest. So you want to get Notorious Beast barking on the field, or get a Dawn Dragster on the field. Crystal Wing, of course, is always good. There's other options like a Fleecia and Abyss Dweller to give you field control. It's a control deck, right? You're trying to gate spells, traps, monster effects, summons. Those are the 4 things you always want to try to negate control. When you play control decks, obviously. So we have Lone Fire Blossom, helps with deck thinning because you can summon a Lone Fire, tribute to summon that one, tribute to summon that one, so you can tribute itself for its own ability, of course. So right there, thins out the deck, and then when you play the last one, you get any plant monster from your deck onto the field, like a Rose Whip, or a Glow Bulb, a Spore, or World Champion Weight Carrot Weight Champion. He's a tech card, mainly because of his ability to bring himself back from the graveyard by discarding a plant monster from my hand or my side of the field to the graveyard. So that comes in handy for like link summoning, exceed plays, single plays, whatever I want to do. The fact he's not Earth, hurts, because it'd be awesome to be able to use them to make stuff like Notorious Beast, Archeon, if he was Earth. But you can, put in a level 4 Earth plant monster of your choice in here. If you don't want, if you're not caring for using the special summoning aspect of a Carrot Weight Champion, then, obviously taking a 4-star Earth plant, and that'd be very useful. Of course, Lone Fire Blossom works pretty well with Soul Charge, Monster Reborn, obviously. So you can bring them back and then tribute and use them all over again. So you get even more deck thinning. Notorious Rose Whip, while this card is face up on field, your opponent can only activate 1 spell or trap card per turn. So if they play like a Duality or Pot of Desires or something like that, then for the rest of that turn, as long as this card's face up, they can't play no more spells and traps. So that right there helps you, with control, right? That way you don't have to worry about playing against too many cards. Your opponent plays plays a search card. Like, cool, play your search card. Search out your, whatever you want to search out, and then that's it. And traps typically don't get used from the hand unless they're, evenly matched or impertinence, or the new traps that can be activated from the hand. By this being on the field, it will reduce them to what they can do per turn and during either player's turn, and it only affects your opponent, so that's always great for you. You can play as many cards as you want. Your opponent can only play 1 spell or trap per turn. Once you negate one of their spells and traps, they still have the ability to play 1 spell or trap that turn, so you gotta be careful how you counter, how you negate. Preferably you want to negate without negating the activation. You want to negate the effect of the card without negating the activation of the card, so that way this card will be in full effect. So you want to play something like Imperial Order, for example, something of that nature. Playing an intro, like if somebody plays a field spell, obviously you don't want them to have that field spell, because that field spell might give them some type of advantage. You can use obviously MST to destroy it, and since MST is a negate the card's effect, right, but also doesn't negate the activation of the card, you're just destroying it in the chain that of, if they're playing field spell or something, you will prevent them from being able to play spells and traps for the rest of their turn. So then all you have to do now is just deal with their monsters. You know what I mean? Deal with whatever monster effects or summonings that they try to do. So of course we have cards in the deck to deal with that. So this is just as long as he's on the field. Has 17 of defense, so it's relatively good. You know, you want to bring it out in defense. And it's a tuner, so that's another thing. It's a plant, it's a tuner. It's Earth tuner, so obviously it has some synergy with Barkion and Beast. Diamond Bomberg, 4-star warrior, Earth. The fact that it's Earth and it's a 4-star helps you, you know, with your synchro plays. You can exceed into rank 4 with it, among other stuff. It has the ability when you normal summon it, you can special summon level 4 or lower from your deck to the hand. From your hand to the field. All the monsters in my main deck are level 4 or lower, so it can summon anything. It can summon summon a copy of itself for a rank 4 play. But typically you want to use it to help you bring out a Lone Fire Blossom. Then use the Lone Fire Blossom ability to thin out your deck, and then you'll still be able to establish, you know, a pretty good board, especially if you bring out Lone Fire Blossom, Gold Bulb with Goblin Bomber makes Naruto Beast, then bring back the Gold Bulb with his own ability to go into a Barkion, and if you just so happen to have a Monster Reborn or Soul Charge or it back to the front, you can, you know, bring the Beast back, and now you have Barkion and Beast on the field. Barkion will be in the extra monster zone, and Beast will be in any of the main monster zones you choose to put it in. Then we got Gilosaurus, another Earth monster. It's a 3-star dinosaur. You can special summon this card from your hand, so there's no restriction. You know, you can just special summon it. Plus you can do it as many times as you want, so if you have multiple copies, you can summon multiple copies. If you can summon it and then you use it to like link, exceed or whatever, or synchro play, and then add it back to your hand somehow and then get it back onto the field, it's all good. The fact that it's a dinosaur is searchable with like a fossil dig. Oviraptor can search it out, obviously, so it has a lot of utility. The fact that it's a 3-star Earth, along with Rose Whip, you can go into a Barkion even first turn, you know, to help you up against evenly match or something of that nature. So being able to go to a Barkion first turn is very useful. But the Beast is your most typical play you want to do. But again, free special summon, so you can swarm the field and go into some, you know, link plays. Instant Fusion, another way of getting a monster on the field. You know, the more you can get, the more monsters you can get, obviously the more board you can build, right? Instant Fusion's main targets is Sea Monster Theseus and Carnivola Warrior, obviously because he's a 4-star Earth fusion that you can bring out. His warrior typing can be useful in other instances and other decks, but I don't use it like the warrior typing is unnecessary for this deck. It's just that he's a 4-star Earth, so obviously this and Globe Bulb would allow you to go into the Barkion play, the Notorious Beast play, then use Globe Bulb's ability to go into the Barkion play, and then if you have a Monster Reborn or Soul Charge, you can bring back the Beast and then, you know, get the Beast and Barkion board set up, and you should have some advantage there. Him being 4-star also is useful because you can go into an Exceed play, so you can make Bistwiller or Rafflesia. You can also synchro for 7 if you use a Notorious Rose Whip and go into a Black Rose or the Dawn Dragster play. Dawn Dragster is pretty good, obviously, because it can negate spell or trap, so you don't have to try to figure out, you don't have to try to get both Barkion and Beast on the field, even though that's what you want. You can just settle for a Dawn Dragster play, especially if you have a Dawn Dragster play on the field that you summoned and then you reborn either with back to the front Soul Charge or Monster Reborn, brought back the Rose Whip. The Rose Whip, you know, will prevent your opponent from being able to play too many spells or traps, right? So if they play, you know, you want to have some control. Again, it's just about control. Moving on. Magical Mallet for consistency. You know, it's a combo based deck. There will be times where you get combination of cards that are okay, it's playable, but it's not the main strategy. It's not what you mainly want. A lot of times you want to have more monsters than spells and traps, so you want magical melee, playing magical melee and getting to some of your key monster cards to do stuff, especially if you get the soul charge lone fire play. Just those 2 cards alone can establish a board, a pretty good strong board. So just that, getting a lone fire along with a Goblin Bomberg and soul charge play, you can produce an even stronger board. So since this deck is combo oriented and doesn't require too many cards to establish a board, being able to play Magical Mallet to get the consistency, get those pieces. A lot of times what I do is I special summon Giliosaurus if it just so happens to be in my hand, and then play Magical Mallet, so then I'm only putting 3 cards back in my deck. That's if I'm going first. Put it back in my deck, and then hopefully I get a lone fire, maybe a soul charge or Monster Born lone fire, or some type of variant, or Goblin Bomberg lone fire, Giliosaurus. Those 3 alone can establish a pretty good board. So obviously it's all about getting specific pieces, and there's 3 copies of everything, so it'd be easier to get it right. Consistency. Again, we got MST. As long as there's spells and traps in this game, you're gonna need it. So it's an obvious staple. Interrupt, and then interrupting somebody's play is just as good as a negate, right? If somebody plays a tanky, MST it, then the tanky won't resolve to search out a beast for it, right? So it's just as good as a negate card, being able to interrupt. If somebody has a floodgate, like a Kree or something, or something of that nature, or somebody flips the anti-spell for you so you can stay on my face, as long as you have MST, you have a way to out it. If somebody has a Master Strict, you might want to get rid of it, because then you can't use your Fire Blossoms effect, right? Then we got Recall. Obviously, effect monster negation / plus destroying. Your opponent gets to draw a card in replacement of you negating and destroying their monster. Obviously, this is good against hand traps, good against any monsters that have problematic effects. Plus, this is for board breaking, because sometimes you need to negate a monster effect that is trying to prevent you from playing something like a Dark Hole or something like that, right? Or playing something. So Recall is very useful for getting rid of any problematic monsters that have problematic effects. Somebody has like True King of Calamities on the field. You definitely want to recall that, so that way he doesn't negate the effects of your monsters. Somebody tries to do a Black Rose play. You want to be able to negate the Black Rose play so you can keep your board, so your board don't get wiped. So forth and so on. It breaks boards, and it helps deal with anything problematic. And again, control. Back to the front again. This is so that you can use some of your control monsters. A lot of your monsters, obviously, attack power is important to deal damage, but it helps that they have abilities to help you control and help you fight and defend against monster spells, traps, and even summons. So being able to reuse them is useful. And since this card isn't like Call Haunted where it's a continuous, you don't have to worry about some interrupt like an MST or something preventing you from getting your Call Haunted effect, right? Since this is a normal trap, not a continuous trap, them MST in this is irrelevant. You'll still get the effect. So very useful. And sometimes you want a monster back in to bring back a monster in defense mode anyway, like a Rose Whip. She's better in defense than attack. So this is a very good card, and doesn't have any restrictions or any extra problematic stuff. Just like Call Haunted, if you Call Haunted back something and then they do MST it afterwards, because the Call Haunted will still be attached to the monster, and they top deck an MST, they'll be able to get rid of your monster, and you don't want that. This is like next level monster Call Haunted right here. So obviously, and to me it's like another negate, being able to bring back a Barkion or something. It just infinite negate basically. Boundless instead of Grand Horn. Grand Horn is good, but Boundless does help out a lot in certain instances, especially against pendulums. By banishing them is always useful. This is good against even normal summon. Grandhorn only does inherent special summons, so this can do any type of special summon. So even if it's the special summon by a card effect like a fusion summon, this can help you against that. You know, stuff that Grandhorn can hit, this will be able to relatively hit. Granted, this does not negate the summoning, but it damn sure makes sure the monster ain't there, unless the monster has some type of can't be destroyed ability, or you know, that type of stuff. This card also doesn't target, so it's very useful against monsters that can't be targeted, like Darkest Diablos. That's a card you definitely want to banish, right? So Bombus would be great against that type of monster. Since he can't be targeted, obviously you need something that doesn't target. This doesn't target, and you want him to get banished. You know, you don't want him to go to graveyard. Also, this is good against Dark Destroyer. Again, another card that can't be targeted, and you definitely don't want it to go to graveyard because it'll just trigger its ability. So you want to banish it. So obviously Bombus. I can just keep on going on why Bombus is good in here. I was playing Grandhorn, you know, testing, but then I ended up, you know, playing Bombus because for many good reasons why, but also because of Rafflesia. The fact that I can easily go into a Rafflesia play, that by having Bombus, it makes her essentially a monster summoning negate, right? So it makes her more of a floodgate. And then of course deck thinning, so if I make her and then my opponent does something, you know, summons a monster, I can detach, send a Bombus from my deck to the graveyard, and then get the effect of Bombus. And right there, deck thinning, so that I can hopefully, you know, hard draw into my combo pieces, among other things. But of course, you know, it's a good card. It's a good card. Red screen. It's my staple floodgate. It makes it where my opponent's monsters cannot attack me or my monsters, but my monsters can attack my opponent and his monsters, and I just lose 1,000 life points during each of my end phases. So it's a really good card. It's a continuous trap. Soul Charge obviously helps me establish board, re-establish boards. If my board gets broken, I just sacrifice life to bring it all right back. You know, like a reset button. Monster Reborn helps me, you know, further my plays. If my opponent interrupts one of my plays or stops me from doing something, I can always reborn something and, you know, keep going. So you can, you know, an extender essentially. Also, the fact that I can grab a monster from my opponent's graveyard is always useful, because if he has something better than me, or he has something strong enough that I can end him out with, then Monster Reborn is monster and attack him, you know, directly for game, right? But mainly I use this for my own monsters, for my own plays and setup, just like the whole Globe Bulb, Notorious Beast Barkion play. I use Monster Reborn just to help me set up my board. Reinforcement, since Goblin Meinberg is a warrior, so I can search it out. So it's just like having a fourth copy of Goblin Meinberg. Foolish, the main target for that is Globe Bulb, but I can obviously use it for sending out anything else. I could always send a Carrot Champion to the graveyard and then discard a plant monster from my hand to here to bring Carrot Champion back, and, you know, do some type of play. Like, since he's 4-star, if I summon Goblin Barnberg and, you know, I have 2 level 4s I can overlay, I can go into a Rafflesia or into an Abyss Dweller and get some type of field control. The fact that these have different names, I can obviously go into a Phoenix or a Cerberus, so that's always an option. And of course, Globe Bulb, 1-star tuner, helps me make Barkion and sort of Beast. It can even help me make a Crystal Wing if need be. I can special summon back from the graveyard by sending a top card from a deck to a graveyard, so it helps thin out the deck more. This deck is almost like a 30-ish card deck, sometimes a little bit less, depending on the situation, depending on what you use, because even the Magical Mallets can help with the deck thinning. Then we got Spore, 1-star tuner, can special summon stuff from the graveyard by banishing, a plant monster, and then it gains levels equal to the plant monster that I banished. This deck has a lot of level 3s. It does have a level 4 plant monster I can banish, obviously. And then 1-star. There's been a couple times where I had Barkion on the field, and then I used Spore's effect, banishing the Glow Bulb to bring back Spore as a 2-star tuner, and then use the 2-star tuner Spore with the Toria Barkion and go into a Crystal Wing Dragon. Since the tuner for Crystal Wing just has to be a tuner, not a synchro tuner. It's just the non-tuner part has to be a synchro monster, and Barkion is clearly a synchro monster, it's not a tuner. So there's that play right there, and then of course the mighty Carrot Weight Champion. A 4-star 1900, not bad. 1900 is useful. You can run over a lot of monsters that you can run over a Denkoseka and so forth and so forth. So there's many reasons to play this card, and I use it. I would prefer to be Earth, but you know, it has a lot of pros and less cons for using it. Rafflesia, unaffected by Tressa as long as it has a material, 25% defense, and I can, you know, copy the effect of Bombus by sending it from a deck to a graveyard by detaching material. Abyss Dweller, detach the material from this card during either player's turn. Any effects that activate in my opponent's graveyard cannot be activated this turn. So, you know, hurts hand traps, burning abyss, monsters that have effects that let them special summon for the graveyard, you know, all that good stuff. Good floodgate type monster. Stardust Warrior negates summonings, you know, like pendulum summoning, seed summon, synchro summon, that type of stuff. So it, you know, works a lot similar to Grand Horn, but without your opponent drawing and without the whole phase change thing. It has a secondary effect where it can bring out a warrior synchro monster from the extra deck, but ironically he's the only warrior synchro in the extra deck, and he's a 10 out of 8. This can only do 8. But if I had space to put a Colossal Fighter in here, then I would put a Colossal Fighter, because then when the Colossal Fighter dies, there's all battle. It can use its effect to bring back Stardust Warrior back from the graveyard, and you know, keep that fun going. Crystal Wing, mainly for his effect negation during either player's turn. You can negate the effect of a monster, destroy that monster, and if you do that, you gain an attack equal to the destroy monster's original attack until the end of this turn. And then it has the ability that if this card battles an opponent's level 5 or higher monster during the damage calculation, this card gains attack equal to the current attack of the opponent's monster. It is battling during the damage calculation only, so it essentially will always be the strongest monster whenever it battles at level 5 or higher. Black Rose for board wiping, and it's like an extra deck version of the evenly match basically. For board wiping, for more control, you know, obviously a 7-star control. He gets 300 attack for each level he is. He's a 7-star, so it'll be 2100 attack. Once you use his ability to negate a spell or trap, you reduce his levels by 2. So he'll, off the first time he negates something, he'll be a 5-star. And that does become relevant later, him becoming a 5-star. And then you're using Crystal Needle Fiber to bring out a TG Wonder Magician, which is a 5-star synchro tuner. 5-star synchro tuner with a 5-star, you know, Dawn Dragster. Can go into the 10-star Stardust Warrior, so that's one of the deck's plays. Barkion, banish 2 cards from your graveyard to negate a trap. You can use that multiple times in a chain. No sort of beast. Mill the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard to negate a spell, and that can be done multiple times in a chain. TG Wonder Magician, when she's synchro summon, she can target 1 spell or trap card on the field and destroy that target on the field. And if she's destroyed by battle card effect, you could draw a card during your opponent's main phase, only not his battle phase. So make sure when your opponent doesn't try to jump into battle phase real quick and not give you the opportunity to use her main phase ability. Again, during main phase, you can immediately after you activate this effect, you can synchro summon. So you can use her to synchro with Notorious Beast, which is a 5-star, or Dawn Dragster, and go into a Stardust Warrior. Then we have Formula Synchron, which is another target for Crystalline Needle Fiber. When this card synchro summon, draw a card once per turn during your opponent's main phase. You can immediately after this card's effect resolves synchro summon using this card you control as synchro material. So the ability to summon this and draw a card is always useful. And then the fact that you can use it to synchro summon, you can use this along with until it be Sparkion, and then you can go into a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon if that's what you need. Ironically, if you already have a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon on the field and you bring out Formula with Needle Fiber's ability, you can of course synchro and go into Stardust Warrior, which is a 10-star. So that's ironic, right? The synergy there. DC is mainly because he's a tuner fusion, so instant fusion for a tuner. I use that whenever I'm in a scenario where it's like for some reason I don't have no tuners, right, to make Needle Fiber, and I might need to make Needle Fiber. So instant fusion, summon this, boom, I can go into a Needle Fiber. Carambola, already mentioned what I use them for exceed plays, synchro plays, link plays, all the good stuff. Anytime you summon either one of these with instant fusion, it counts as an official fusion, which means you can always bring them back to the front, Soul Charge or Monster Reborn, so you can do stuff like that. Then we have, of course, Crystalline Needle Fiber. You need at least two monsters to make this. At least one of them has to be a tuner in order to link summon this, and when this card is link summon, you can special summon a level 3 or lower tuner monster from your hand or deck in defense position, but it cannot activate its effects this turn. If it has any effects, it can't activate it that turn on the field. And then during your opponent's main phase or battle phase, quick effect, you can banish this card, special summon one tuner synchro monster from your extra deck, and it's treated as synchro. That it is treated as if it was synchro summon. Therefore, you would get their synchro summon effect, like Formula Synchron drawing ability and TG Wonder Magician's spell and trap destruction ability. So those are two targets right there. Of course, it's, checking out other options. I really like this idea of the Light Stream Dragon idea, but the extra deck's pretty tight right now. But I like this idea. Because if I try to give up on the Stardust Warrior idea, or just give up the Crystal Wing idea, could try to fit in the Livestream Dragon, or just take out these two link monsters in general and just fit in some extra Needle Fiber targets, maybe even an extra Needle Fiber and then the Livestream or something. Point is that if this card is synchro summon, you can make your life points become 4,000, and then you take no effect damage. While this card is face up on the field, would be destroyed. You can banish one equip spell card from your graveyard instead. That part is irrelevant in here, but it's just the idea that is like, especially if you're playing in time and you have Needle Fiber on the field, and it's like, oh, let me use Needle Fiber's effect to bring out Livestream's ability. My life points becomes 4,000. You have 3,000 life points at 4,000. They call time. Boom. I win because I have more life points than you. So there's that. Plus just the ability just in general. It's like, especially if you're low on life, with the fact that I use Soul Charge, red screen, instant fusions. If I use instead of recall and I use Solemn Strike, I use recall for budget reasons, as well as for to reduce how much life I pay in here. But if you got the money to get the strikes, and you want to play strikes, and you don't care about losing too much money, especially if you use the live stream crystal Needle Fiber idea, then go crazy. I recommend Strike, definitely. Go Strike ham. If you want, you can even if you don't want to do the bombless trap hole thing and then get rid of the Rafflesia to make space for live stream, and then put in the strikes and still keep the recall back and strike, and just have extra monster negation, for more potential board breaking, as well as being able to prevent somebody from summoning a problematic monster. Like it's all up to you. Like I like if I wanted to, I could do that. This deck is not in its final form, obviously. I could always switch it up, but for now I'm trying to do things that require less life. But if I wanted to go further and be like, you know what, screw it, I'll sacrifice more life points, I want more power, more options, then I will go Solemn Strike instead of Boundless, take out the Rafflesia since she's only there for the Boundlesses, and then put in the live stream, and then just go ham, right? And there's some other potential options, maybe even a generic 6-star synchro that lets you draw when you synchro summon it. This is not a tuner, so you can't bring out Needle Fiber. You have to actually synchro summon for this, but being able to get a draw out of it's pretty useful. Thousand Babushka. And if you don't wanna, if you have these hand traps you want to play and you're playing Needle Fiber, why not, right? You could take out 2 of the Rose Whips just to put in at least one of each of these 2, or whatever you choose. This one of these hand trap tuners onto the field, and then since they can use their abilities even while they're on the field, is very, very useful. Especially this one. Monster click on the field, activates his effect, or when a spell tracker has blah, 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 blah. Quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, destroy that card on the field, blah blah. So this is obviously a pretty good target for the effect of Needle Fiber, so because it can use its ability on the field, so it's a good interrupt. And then Needle Fiber being able to bring out something like TG Wonder Magician, which can destroy Spell and Trap, that's another interrupt. And then you have the MST to interrupt, like Recall, Bottomless, you have a lot of options. So it's up to you if you want to switch this deck up, but currently this is its current build, and that's the end of the video.